For some time now, I have been attempting to create a video discussing one of the finest video games released for the PlayStation 2. However, this endeavor has become a challenge for me, as each time I attempt to play this game on my console, it simply freezes. In brief, I was not afforded the opportunity to play this game during my childhood. Therefore, for many years, I have been a so-called video game enthusiast who has never played the highly acclaimed Shadow of the Colossus. But this didn't stop me from playing its remake, which is simply one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Now, I think it's pretty hard for you not to know what the game is about, but in case you don't, here's a simple summary. After a long journey through countless valleys and forests, our hero finally arrives at a forbidden land. Here, he uses his sword to make a pact with the Dormine. The game revolves around this pact. Slay the 16 colossi that roam these devastated lands, and they will use their powers to bring back the soul of the girl the protagonist loves. Yeah, that was a really summarized and simplistic way of explaining the game, but trust me, there's way more to this game than just the plot. The gameplay, the environments, the atmosphere, it's all just stunning. And you can probably imagine, wow, colossal creatures. This game will be like God of War. You'll be slaughtering everyone. But no, actually, most of the game is just this. At first, you might think the game will become boring because games are typically an escape. You want to go around shooting and killing everything, drive a car, and ignore the traffic lights. But Shadow of the Colossus is not like that. In fact, minimalism is one of the main premises of the game, and it does this majestically. Take a look at this screenshot from the game. You don't see any kind of marker or text on the whole screen. It's a simple thing that doesn't hurt your brain. Now look at this other image of Assassin's Creed. I don't know about you, but just looking at this image, my brain is already a knot. It's interesting how Shadow of the Colossus makes less feel like more, isn't it? This is what sets Shadow of the Colossus apart from other games. Its simplicity. The game world seems like a dreamland. In another dimension, it is incredibly spectacular. Empty, mysterious, and apparently huge. The only characters besides the protagonist Wander are his horse and a voice that speaks for a few seconds after you complete a Colossus hunt. And even the character is silent. The only times he speaks is to call his horse, and most of the game is like that, totally silent. The vast stretches of field with almost nothing to do were not, however, something that displeased me. In fact, they were meditative and liberating. After I finished the game, I watched a video by a YouTuber who, like me, is a very observant player. But that video almost drove me crazy. There are so many questions left open by the game that if you just play for fun, you don't notice. And in fact, these questions contribute even more to the mysterious atmosphere of the game. What kind of place were the Forbidden Lands? Which ancient civilization built those structures? What were the meanings of those rings? We want to discover in what timeline these events take place, comparing them with their predecessors and successors. What are those sculptures about? These are questions we will probably never know the answers to. But can you understand what the developer wanted to convey? They don't worry about pleasing you by putting a lot of things to do on the map. Instead, they force the player to adapt to that world. That's why in the middle of the game, we begin to reflect on whether what we are doing is right. After a long and grueling battle, we begin to hear a melancholic soundtrack that stretches into yet another long stretch of solitude. And that's when we begin to reflect and even feel sorry for the Colossi, who are simply living freely in those giant lands. They have nothing to do with the main character's goal, which is a bit selfish, especially in a modern world where we find numerous distractions, lots of buttons, lots of options, and the simple has been forgotten. This game really makes you question your actions and motivations, doesn't it? It's interesting how it can make you feel empathy for these giant creatures, despite the fact that you're the one hunting them down. Even if you live in a big city, there are so many information that you can't process and enjoy your journey only thinking about how it will be at the top of the mountain, how it will be at the end, but when you get there, it's not the same thing. This means there is a lot of value in simplicity. And those walks across the fields allowed me to process the previous battle and have enough time to think about the next one. And the freedom of games is a bit paradoxical, because the more things and objectives you have, the more your human sense of control will arise, leaving you overwhelmed. But for those of you who haven't played the game, it's fascinating how this game's simplicity can be so effective in creating a sense of emotional connection, isn't it? And it's interesting to think about how too much freedom in games can be overwhelming. while a more focused experience can lead to a more meaningful and impactful one. Is the game really that empty as I mentioned? Is it really just riding and killing the colossi? Let's see, draw your own conclusions. Apart from wandering and defeating the giants, you can also pick some fruits, hunt some animals like lizards, do a new game, and also pay attention to details that many people haven't noticed, like the fact that there are other animals in the game, such as turtles and fish. In addition, there's something that many people don't know. If you have a lot of patience, you can climb the sanctuary and go to the garden at the end of the game without spoilers, okay? And crossing the Great Bridge, which appears throughout the gameplay as a majestic and colossal structure. It connects the Forbidden Lands to the rest of the world. And if you manage to climb up to that sanctuary, which is very difficult, you can cross it completely, which takes a lot of time. And when you get there, there's an invisible wall. But anyway, since we're talking about exploration, I've seen many famous players saying that there are no side missions in the game. Is that really true? Throughout your journey, you will hear strange sounds in some places on the map. If you look closely, you will see that they are coins that are scattered all over the map. And man, picking up these coins is one of the most difficult tasks of all time. You have to access really weird locations that look like they were not meant to be explored. These coins are such a weird secret that there isn't even a trophy for completing this mission. It seems like even the developers had forgotten about them. That's quite intriguing. It makes one wonder if those coins were intentional, or perhaps just an oversight by the developers. Either way, they add an extra layer of mystery to the game. However, the coins are an opportunity for you to explore every inch of these lands. Take this coin, for example. You must have completed the game on hard mode to unlock the despair state. Then you have to go to a specific Colossus, climb the platforms, the stairs, and use your cloak to get to another platform. Repeat this process until you reach this other location and find the coin. And if you don't do this during your natural progression in the game and on attack mode, you will get a game over because you are too far from the Colossus. In other words, to get this coin, you have to complete the game at least twice. Do you see how complicated that is? Almost as if these coins were the secret of secrets. It's very intriguing. And then you have to make a majestic leap to get this other coin. And if you miss, you'll have to climb that impossible structure all over again. Using the voice I learned, without the certainty that you will succeed, and if you think it ends here, you're mistaken. For this coin, you have to jump from the wing of one of the colossi to a structure at the perfect moment. In this other, you have to steer the colossus to a stone so that the coin is revealed, so that it breaks the stone. And in other almost impossible locations, this is much more difficult than Dark Souls. Finally, you unlock a secret passage and unlock a new sword for the game, the Sword of Dorman. Do you understand how mysterious this is? Imagine a child playing their PlayStation 2, not even a map indicating where the coins are or what they are for, 79 coins. And at the end of our journey, we conclude that we will never know for sure what that world means. And this is the magic of the game. Its emptiness contributes even more to this beautiful work of art. We will never know the level of technology that those ancient people had, if their colossi were machines, robots, or real creatures forged with armor. In short, the final answer is, what is emptiness? But you, what do you think of this emptiness in the game? If you enjoyed this video of mine about Shadow of the Colossus, I have made a similar video about Skyrim, which should be appearing on your screen now. Comment down below, I really want to know your opinion. Don't forget to hit the like button. It doesn't cost you anything and it helps me a lot. Thank you very much for watching until the end. Thank you.